Welcome to Survivors and Overcomers Journey with your host, Tanya King, where we share real life stories and take you on a journey through the life of our heroes in our family and communities. Today, we will be sharing with Sandra Anin, who is an author, and we're going to take the time out to take you on a journey through the life of Sandra Anin. Take the time out to welcome Sandra to our program. Welcome, Sandra.
Hello, thank you for having me today.
It's so great to have you here and to share your story. We noticed that you also have a book that you have basically put together, and you're an author, and so excited to share your story. And today, let's start out with our questions. Where were you born?
So I was born in Toronto, Canada.
Oh, wow.
I was born and raised in North York, so the Jane and Finch area.
Yeah. Nice. All right. And when you were little, what was it like growing up? What are some of your childhood memories that you remember?
Well, growing up, especially in my neighborhood where there was all this negativity that was casted in our neighborhood or surrounding our environment, it was weird to see that so many people, the news had like all this, bad things to say. But growing up in the neighborhood, it was totally different. It's not like now where I would say children are more sheltered than back in my time where it was like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and I was like 8 years old and I was running to the next building to go and play with my cousins.
8 o'clock? Wow.
I know. Well, not on a school night, but whereas now we shelter our children so much because it's, the world is really unsafe compared to before. So I grew up in a time where we were outside playing Mickey Mickey Nine Door. We were playing Scream, Double Dutch, running around. And our neighborhood was more of a family, a big community outside. And, I had my parents, I had a younger sibling, and then of course, like older siblings joined us from Ghana. So I had a pretty good childhood. It was okay.
And what were your parents like when you were growing up?
So growing up, even my book is based on my life. My parents were they were the good cop and bad cop.
Okay.
And you know what? It worked out. So growing up with them, because they were immigrants and they came to Canada, a lot of working. So they were working a lot of the time. So I seen my mom always working, hustling, my dad always working, hustling. Wow. And it was like more of a routine of like in and out. However, the downtime that they had, it was like, okay, what's going on in school, homework, tutor. Like I even had like a French tutor, sports and stuff like that. And it's everybody has what they were used to or what they were accustomed to. Mm-hmm. But of course, there was a time where a 2-parent home became mm-hmm. a 1-parent home.
Yeah.
So it was, I'm not saying it was the greatest experience or moment in my life.
Right.
However, just witnessing that and going through it, it didn't make me weak and it didn't break me. So that's how it was growing up.
Sorry, I didn't catch your last little bit there.
I said just having, that going through the 1-parent home and experiencing that, everyone is different. However, that that experience, it didn't break me, but
That's right.
it
Okay.
actually made me stronger. Yeah.
Definitely. Good to hear that. Because a lot of people who go through divorce, it literally breaks them. It
Yeah.
sends them on a spiral downhill. So we're glad to know that you made it through that.
Yeah.
So as a teen, what do you remember growing up as a teenager?
Uh, as a teenager, you know what? Like I have my regrets, and I also have my good moments that I recall from my teenage years. And like one thing I regretted was, from elementary school to high school. High school is it's a big fish, big
Yeah.
pond, right? And sometimes you lose those friends that you connected with from grade school, and you get to high school and you fall into different crowds and stuff. And as a teenager, I went through it. I went to a high school that as well also had a negative light portrayed by the media, and also a negative light based off of some bad apples.
Right.
However, in the school there was the good apples. You know what I mean? Like there's people that came out of that school that are in prominent positions or doing greater things in the community.
Right.
I experienced a lot. I experienced some of the gun violence around in my neighborhood. Um, I also experienced just, the bad times, those teenage years where you're uncertain and you're unsure and you're a little rebellious. I had my
Yes.
rebellion. I had, my dad would say, a rebel without a cause. I had my and I'm okay that I went through that phase, because if I didn't go through that phase, and that's just me speaking for myself, it's a personal
Yes.
thing. I don't see that it doesn't seem right or sit right with me that I would
Right.
be going through my teenage rebellion stage when I'm in my 30s. I feel like that's wrong.
True.
You have to get
True.
it out.
Of course. Of course.
Get it out. So when you're in your 30s, your mind is somewhere else.
Very true.
Yeah.
It's as young people, it's better you make the mistakes back then than when you get older. Because then when you get older, there's so much ripple effect. If you
Yeah.
have children, the different people that your decisions affect. So definitely hear you on that one.
Yeah.
And what about your adult journey? Did you start a family, or how's your adult journey? Because I didn't ask how old you are and I don't want to date you. So
Oh, you know what? If people have gotten my book, my author's picture clearly states my age. So, but my adult life, no family yet.
Okay.
So, and you see, that's another thing, young people don't, that planning thing. I thought I was gonna be married and, with 2 children by 28. And, I'm in my I'm 31.
Yeah.
And I don't have that yet, but, I don't feel down. I don't feel any less of a person or anything like that. I don't feel like I failed. I know some people, what is it called? A midlife crisis, or
Oh
their
yeah.
time is ticking. I don't feel like that at all.
Thank you.
And I'm comfortable with my adult journey, because I'm in a place where I'm comfortable. I know who I am. I know what my goals are set, and they're so clear. I know how to obtain them.
Okay.
And I'm just in a very good and positive state. Like I feel like there's growth spiritually, mentally, physically. There's some sort of growth and some sort of like peace. Like I'm coasting at this, not in a bad way, but I'm at peace.
That is something many people are struggling to find these days. And
Yeah.
so when you can say you're there, and as a young person, where you can look back and say, I'm not like, oh my gosh, I didn't get married, I don't have any kids, oh my gosh, my clock is ticking,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to like 40, am I gonna have any kids? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I find a lot of our younger people, like even as teenagers at 18, they're like, oh my gosh, I don't have a husband, or I don't, and you're like thinking, you're only 18, like finish your education.
Yes, and everybody has their time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm not saying if you're 18 and you get married, there's nothing wrong with that, because
No.
there's people even from, my parents' time or my older siblings' time where they were married or had children at 22, 21, and they're still kicking strong. So there's
Yes,
nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their path. God has given everybody their time. We all
that's
have our
right.
destiny. So when it's destined and it's time, like they say, God's time is the best time. So why rush it?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So how do you like, do you have any victories in your life that you'd like to celebrate?
Well, definitely. Growing up, even when anyone divulges into my book, the main character, she's lucidly about me, and her dream was to always tackle the legal system. I went to school, I took criminal justice. I dabbled in philosophy, I did paralegal, and I'm so happy about those accomplishments because there was obstacles. There was times where external factors probably or were actually preventing me from obtaining those goals. Even writing my first book, Child of an Immigrant, there was factors where I was like, I was doing I before that I was doing school, I had two jobs, and I was just my head was just all over the place. And it was like, when was I ever going to get time to sit down and write this book? So school is a major victory for me. My book
Right.
is a major victory for me.
Absolutely.
I'm so proud to celebrate those things in my life.
That is a huge accomplishment to be your age and you got a book out and you've got, graduating. It's really good. It's a great accomplishment. And to be able to share your truth is a major accomplishment where a lot of people in our community, we don't like to share much about our truths.
Mhm.
So that's really a great accomplishment. How are you creating a legacy for future generations in your family and or community?
How I'm creating a legacy is as a daughter of of an immigrant man whose focus or dream was to come somewhere into a foreign land that was foreign to him and his wife, and to have children and instill in them this focus of you always have to do better and be better. I
Mhm.
feel that just to even have a book with my name on it, or
Yeah.
just to be able to Google me and find things that I've done or people that I've partnered with to obtain or to get certain things done in my life, I feel that's a legacy.
That
Because
is.
my children, my nieces, my nephews, I have young cousins. I don't want to be that aunt or that mom, that grandma who's like, oh, your grandma's famous for doing this. I want it to be, your grandma did this, your auntie did this, your mom did this, so you could do it too, and you can do better because
Right.
you're going to read it and you're going to be like, well, okay, she wrote this. Well, I'm going to write five stories, 5 books. And I want to see that from those that are after me. And I also love to be that cheerleader for other women, other young girls, other minorities, to say that it's all possible, it's doable. That's like my favorite thing to say, it's doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my next question would be, what have you learned in your lifetime that you can share with us as a nugget or two of wisdom?
In my lifetime,
Yes.
I have a lot of life to go. So um what I've learned, you got to be meticulous with, or even, and not even just meticulous. You have to be, think before you do.
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of things without putting thought into it, where I would jump into things and then I had this track record of starting and not finishing.
Yes.
So, and as a young lady or as a young woman, that wasn't great because I was leaving a lot of things undone. Then it was like, if I was leaving so much that was undone,
Yeah.
then what, I wasn't being true to myself or honest to myself. to me, it felt like I was a quitter.
Right.
You have to be meticulous and take your time, plan and do things. I know I said you can plan, but God's time is the best time.
It is.
However, you need to sit down and plan things in the sense of, if this does not work out, what is the next route? If this route does not work out, how can I make the first route that I took better?
Yes.
You have to be meticulous with your associates. Where you're going in life and different avenues of your life, you're going to meet different people. But you understand not everyone is going to go, or not everyone is privy to go with you where you're about to go.
Very true.
Nugget.
Very true. Not everyone can go with you. That's facts. And what are your visions? What is your vision or your hope for the future? Your hopes for the future?
My vision and hope for the future is to honestly spark a change of something. Yes. I know a lot of people are pessimists where they'll say, well, that's the tip of the iceberg. It doesn't matter. You still chipped away at that iceberg. You did something. So yes. I want to spark a change. I don't know if I'm going to be the first Black woman to do something, or the first woman from a marginalized neighborhood who grew up, who was told that nothing good comes from this area, from this area. You know, like they say, nothing good comes from Nazareth, right?
That's right. That's right.
I want to be that person. I want my name just to be somewhere so that other young women that look like me, not just by color and by skin, size, shape, whatever, can look at me and say, I could do what she did, and I'm going to do it better. That's what I hope for the future.
That's definitely, it's definitely, when you think about it, I always hear, like back in the day, I used to hear about Jane and Finch, and nobody had anything good to say about down there. Lord, every time you heard about there, nobody, you're like, I don't want to be around there, or you get scared, or this or that. But then we had friends that lived there, and they'd be like, but it's the quietest place. And you're like, how? Like, it doesn't make no sense. But, you know, hearing that you made it out of there, and you, not out of there, but you grew up. You weren't just a kid, but you made it as a teenager, that you're now as a young adult or an adult, you're doing well, even though you were brought up there. And you know, you were able to become an author in spite of what anyone said. You're able to do something that many people have not done. Being an author is a big thing. Never thought of it like that before till I became an author, but it's a big thing. And I'm just so thankful for you coming to share a bit of your story. And I am definitely looking forward to having you join us when we talk with Black entrepreneurs on one of our other sister programs that's going to be coming up in May.
Yes.
And I just would like to thank you again for taking the time to share with us on Survivors and Overcomers Journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And have a wonderful evening.
You too. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.